Welcome to Brave Together Parenting, an empowering and truly helpful podcast for the parents of children with disabilities and all unique needs.
I literally started screaming, and I just went on and on and on. I mean, I was so mean. I was so impatient. I was so ridiculous. And she was like, "Mama, but I have daddy on speakerphone." And I was like,
oh no.
And by the way, we've been divorced for years and years, but I have always been like, I'm the calm one.
Hello, Brave friends. Welcome to Ask Us Anything. I'm Jessica Patay, your host of Brave Together Parenting podcast, and I'm joined by two fantastic fellow Brave Mom co-hosts to help answer your questions.
Hi, I'm Susanna Peace Lovell. I'm an author, a certified life coach and soul care coach, and an advocate for the health and wellness of disability families everywhere.
Hi, I'm Dr. Zoe, a licensed psychotherapist, writer, speaker, author, and complex shame expert.
We are gathered here to share our experiences,
share our wisdom,
and answer your questions.
Have a caregiving question? Find the link in the show notes to leave us your message.
May you feel seen and heard and not alone.
Ask us anything.
You gals are so great at sharing wisdom and sharing advice, but I kind of want to hear about some really hard, worst, embarrassing, or mortifying moments you've had as a parent, if you're willing to share.
Hey, ladies. We are back together again for the Ask Us Anything episode. I'm so thrilled to be here today. We are going to be talking about mortifying moments of parenting. Yay, we're going to be disclosing some things today.
Yes, we are. And we've only had like one or two,
I
right?
mean,
That's it.
It's
because we're perfect.
one or two
exactly
per hour sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've been laughing all morning, right? Oh, right. Yeah, you guys. I've been laughing all morning thinking about how this recording is going to go because I am already it's like real life bloopers.
Yep.
But listen, we are all human beings.
Right.
Seriously.
We are.
And you know what I love about us sharing this is that we sit sometimes with things that are really embarrassing and really shameful. And we imagine that it's only us that has those kinds of things happen to us or do those stupid things. And being able to be open as moms and say, no, we too, we do that too. We feel that way too. We have those thoughts too and those experiences is part of being a supportive community.
So true.
Yeah. And listen, I think this is the perfect segue into checking in with you both. If you are surviving or thriving right now, this week, in this moment, in this season. I'll start with you, Jessica. How about you?
I'm thriving. I would say I've gotten really good sleep, which I generally do, but this midlife menopause-ish season, you don't know if you're going to get woken up in the night with a hot flash or just up in the night and then the thoughts get rolling. And so, it's been a good week of sleep and a good week of, I think I got to go to yoga 3 times.
Wow.
4 times, maybe 4. I don't know. Anyways, in the last maybe 7 days or something, which is a lot and wonderful and yummy and just a great stress release for me. So I'm feeling pretty good today. Thank you.
Yay.
That's beautiful.
How about you, Zoe?
Well, I have not gotten to go to yoga, but I did start doing yoga on my Peloton app, which has been wonderful.
Yay.
And one of the reasons why is because I would say I'm thriving right now. And the reason why is because I handed in my book to my editor on a day after deadline, one day late, but I finally got it in. And this has been something that I've been working on for years, got rejected on my last submission. And so I submitted it and I'm having faith and hope and fingers crossed that it's going to be accepted this time. And so I just feel great to get it off my shoulders, which has given me some more space and time to do things like yoga on my Peloton app.
Yay!
Okay.
Congrats.
That is
Oh my
a
gosh.
huge milestone. Like we need to
Yes.
do a little virtual champagne toast for sure.
Something.
Yeah, where's our cheers?
I love that.
Oh,
I love that.
That's fantastic.
I love this energy. I would say that I'm always usually sort of on the cusp, thriving, surviving.
Mhm.
I would say that the meter is a little bit more on the thriving side right now, as well. I just, I'm sort of on a high. The other night, Arizona wanted to do a game night with friends. And by friends, I mean my friends and some of their kiddos. And so, she's really so interested in games like Scattergories and, all of these things where there requires a lot of interaction and talking and giggling and conversing. And, kiddos these days are like glued to their phones. So I had my girlfriends drop off their kids, their teenagers. And I was like, let's just have a fun night. And initially they were kind of all sort of like in their different spaces in the house with their phones, and Arizona's like, well, I want to play games. I mean, she really she really just took a leadership role and we had so much fun. We were laughing so hard and it was just so joyful to see these young people just, laughing and enjoying themselves and interacting and connecting. So that, that felt really good. And I'm going to do that more often.
Oh, I love it.
And Arizona was, she's the one who wanted to do that. So
Yeah,
I was like, anytime.
I love that. I want to come next time.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, Ryan can be my partner in some of these fun games. We will just
same with Zoe.
We will just be on the floor, laughing and laughing. So, which I think we're going to be doing today too. So
I was like, speaking of laughing, everybody, hold on to your
get ready for the ride.
bladders. So, who wants to go first?
I nominate you, Jessica.
Okay, so I swear I call myself a recovering perfectionist, and wow, if I could have recovered before having children, that would have been a lot better. So Luke is the one who made me a mother, my oldest, who's 24. And when he was born, he wasn't an easy newborn and he was probably colicky, and no one told me that. If they had, that would have helped. Maybe I would have changed my diet, not drank coffee. I don't know, whatever, right? But he would not sleep through the night, like forever. I mean, beyond the first few months when everyone else's baby read Baby Wise and was sleeping through the night. But anyways, so we tried all these different things. We tried to let him cry it out and to go to sleep or to go back to sleep after waking up in the night. And we lived in an apartment. This is our first married apartment in Manhattan Beach. And I am sure the neighbors probably heard Luke scream and cry. And okay, so it's just mortifying to me that this was the method that we used, the like cry it out method. I mean, we tried so many times and we'd give in, but like when people said, oh, I just had to do it a couple nights where they cried for a few minutes each night, that was not what happened with us. So, okay, this is a mortifying thing to admit. I would wear headphones with music going on in my ears.
Yeah.
Because I so wanted to run into the bedroom and grab him. So I would wear headphones. I think it was like a portable armband radio. Remember those for running?
Yes.
Yeah, I would wear that. Anyways, if I would go back, I would probably just let him sleep with us. I'd have to convince Chris of that. I think I would just nurse on demand. I think I would just hold him and call upon my inner intuition and my inner knowing. What does he need? And just surrender. I was so wanting to get him on a schedule, right? The perfectionist in me, get him on a schedule because I want to be able to control the schedule and I want to be able to control things. And you can't control babies. You can't.
No, you can't. And what you did, because, I think probably a lot of our mortifying moments, in addition to maybe being embarrassing are also what feel like really big, just mom fails, right?
Yeah.
And what we have to do is go back and remember that we did the very best job we could at the time with the information we had, with the capacity that we had to mother in that moment. And our kids are okay.
Yeah. Well, Luke still has sleep issues. So I sometimes I'm like, it's all my fault. It goes back to
Well, he was
all my
born with
fault.
sleep issues.
All goes back to that. Anyways, all right. Who wants to go next?
Well, I just want to acknowledge you because I think that was a brilliant idea to play music through your headphones. Brilliant.
Okay.
Absolutely. Instead of like suffering in, silence and being able to hear everything and like rocking back and forth and like, biting your knuckles in the corner.
Right.
Come on.
Okay.
That was very innovative. So kudos to you. I do that now when Arizona is listening to her K-pop music so loudly. It just takes me out.
So I have two to share. I just can't decide which one I'm going to share. So I might share both. Okay. The first one that comes to mind was when my daughter Sully was probably about 8 or 9. And we were in this space, we homeschooled. And so we were in this space of, I still had her in she was with all normal functioning children. And I regret that, not putting her in special ed early, because I homeschooled her with just normal functioning children. I thought at the time that it was helpful. And so we had this event, and kids with Prader-Willi syndrome tend to have gastrointestinal issues. And Sully would, generally she was good, but then we would have these bouts of constipation. And at that time early on, I figured out she was constipated when she had diarrhea. Now, as time went on and I learned to track her bowel movements and make sure, I could figure it out earlier. And it sounds weird that you would be constipated and have diarrhea. It's a long, probably TMI story to explain why that happens. But I knew she was on the cusp of something. I think maybe she had diarrhea, but it was controllable and she had told me about it and we took care of it. And there was an event that night at a friend's house. And me and my just wanting to everything be normal and just kind of do all the, normal things with everybody else. And I had my other children there too. We all went, and the girls were kind of just hanging out in the bedroom of the house. And the mom came to me and she's like, I think Sully has diarrhea. And Sully had diarrhea in that woman's house, in her daughter's bedroom. And Sully, being who she is, could have cared less. It's not like she took care of herself or knew it came to me. I don't know, but it was the most mortifying experience for me, because I could have prevented it if I had just said, nope, Sully's having gastrointestinal issues. We're just going to stay home, take care of it just in case. But I didn't. I thought in my head it would be okay. And it was just a disaster, an absolute disaster. And additionally, from that moment, I feel like it really distanced Sully from the other girls as well. And because, she was like 8, 9, and things just really started going downhill in our homeschool community. And I eventually took her out of homeschooling and ended up putting her in school. But yeah, that was a mortifying and mom fail. Yeah.
And did she have she didn't have it in the bathroom. She had it
in her.
Okay.
Yeah. On the carpet. Yeah. Yeah. Mortifying.
Poop moments.
And Sully could have cared less, which was even more mortifying. And I definitely felt a sense of shame and blame from the moms. Like, why did you bring her here if she was, So that was, it's just, it's the reality of having a special needs kid. Things happen. And obviously I learned from there. But in that moment, it was definitely mortifying.
Yeah. Ouchie is what I want to say. Like Susanna always says, ouchie.
Ouchie.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Jessica, but I also have way too much experience with my daughter's fecal matter, than I care to admit. I mean, potty training was very challenging in this household. So I understand that one. We've had Arizona had so many accidents in so many different places, and it was one of those things, Jessica, where I also was like, why didn't I just allow her to be in pull-ups and diapers until she was ready to be out of them? I was trying so hard to force the issue, and she just wasn't ready. She just wasn't ready, And so I would dress her up and take her to birthday parties, and there would be an accident, and it's like, it's my fault. You know what I mean? Because she couldn't care, about it very much. It's just everyone would just, what's that smell, right? And I'm like, gotta go. We gotta go, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I will share something that I'm sure neither of you have ever done. All I have to say is that I can turn into a person that either of you would never recognize. You would not believe it. Like, I can go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, because if my fuse has been reached, if my limit has been reached, because I will answer questions so calmly from Arizona over and over again, and she interrupts me and asks another question before I'm finished, responding to that question. There's another question. And what about this? And so it gets to the point where I just explode, literally explode. And so there was a situation where she was asking me questions, and it's always like right when I'm about to sit down on the toilet, or right as I'm sitting down to eat something or whatever, and she'll start this barrage of questions. And so she was doing it this one time, but she was in the other room, and she was just going on and on and on. And I literally started screaming like, I mean, I was what did we say? I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Cuckoo for Cocoa
I was
Puffs.
cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay. And I was like, this is such horrible, embarrassing behavior, but I don't care. I'm so over it. And I just went on and on and on. I mean, I was so mean. I was so impatient. I was so ridiculous. And she was like, Mama, but I have Daddy on speakerphone. And I was like,
oh no.
And by the way, we've been divorced for years and years, but I have always been like, I'm the calm one. You know what I mean? I'm the stable, steady Eddie.
My
and
gosh.
he has, there's some sort of truth in this, but I get so defensive. But he will say, yeah, you and Arizona both have these like sort of like impulsivity things. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, everything is good. We're doing our breathing practices and doing affirmations on the way to school. Now, at least it was only her dad. At least it wasn't like, oh, my therapist is on Zoom, or, what I mean? Like, so listen, I was very embarrassed. I had to ask for forgiveness. And then I had to have a long talk with Arizona and say, yeah, you cannot be, recording me or on speakerphone or anything. Like, you have to ask my permission first.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yep.
Man.
Thank you to everyone who showed up in person or participated virtually in our 5K fundraiser. It was a big success, and we cannot thank this community or our sponsors enough. An extra special thank you goes to our top sponsors: Rise Advocacy, GHJ Foundation, Torrance Memorial Medical Center, CMS Creative Management, the Patay family, MRM Education, Harbor Light Financial Strategies, and PPL. We are so grateful to these generous sponsors who help make all that we do for this community possible. The retreats we put on for caregiving parents, the connection circles we facilitate, and this podcast, among many more offerings, would not be possible without your support. If you or a business is looking to help with our next fundraiser, please go to wearebravetogether.org to find more opportunities to donate or get involved. We will be accepting donations for the 5K fundraiser through October 31st. And then we will follow that up with Giving Tuesday and end of year giving. We welcome your donations and generosity, and we thank you with all of our hearts. I have a Kate story. I have actually a couple, but let's see if I can tell them both quickly. Okay. One, she was a baby and she was still in the infant seat, like the bucket seat, and she was peacefully asleep, and it was a Sunday afternoon, and I needed to go get new running shoes. Remember Sport Chalet?
Yes.
They don't exist anymore. So I was like, all right, let's go to Sport Chalet really quick. I'll just take her with me. And I just needed my usual Asics. I go in, I get them quickly because I know what I need. I know my size, whatever. Like, it doesn't take me very long. I get back in the car. I was, it was probably like 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden I hear Kate make a sound. I had left her in the car, in the minivan.
What?
She just made a little peep, and I realized that I had left her. I immediately started bawling my ass out. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She was fine. She was fine. It wasn't a hot day. I was only gone for 15 minutes. I was parked in the very front of Sport Chalet, like in front of the doors. Thank God she didn't start crying. Thank God nobody saw, because then the police would probably get called.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is how this happens. You're exhausted. You're doing something you don't normally do. I didn't normally go to Sport Chalet with Kate. And probably on a Sunday afternoon, I probably just didn't run errands with 3 little kids. So, that was awful. I was like nauseous. I almost threw up on my way home. I mean, I could not believe that.
Thank God she was okay. Because we've heard the stories,
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And then when she was 2, she started climbing out of her crib, and I wasn't ready for that because she was the third. I was like, no, I cannot have 3 people that can get out of bed. So, so I bought her a princess castle, and I'm using air quotes. So a crib tent that you attach. You put the kid in and you zip them up, and it's this nice little, mesh princess castle. And so I'd zip her in every night. And this lasted maybe 6 months. And then she tore a hole, and then she zipped herself out. And I was like, I surrender, I guess. And so I think maybe Ryan was in a toddler bed. We switched her to a toddler bed, and he got a real bed. I don't know.
Well, you got 6 months. Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Good
and
story.
I called it the princess castle to her. Like, oh, Mommy bought you a princess castle. Look, we're going to go in the princess castle.
That's a beautiful reframe for prison. I love it.
We have to do what we have to do.
We do. Yeah. So I'm going to tell a funny story. And this was not too long ago. This was maybe, I guess it was last school year. So my wonderful Sullivan, we have had some difficulties getting her to school. And so one of these mornings, she missed the bus because we couldn't get her together in time. And I had it was either an interview, a session, something like I had to be back home to start the interview or whatever it was. And so I just kind of threw some clothes on, and she was finally ready to go to school. We'd missed the bus. And so I said, okay, get in the car. I'm going to take you. So she got in the car. We ran to school. I didn't have any shoes on. I didn't think I needed shoes. I was just going to drop her off and come right back. And so we get to the front office, and I'm like, okay, Sully, go in the office. Have a great day. She refused. She just threw a fit. She's like, I can't go in the office by myself. I need you to walk me in there. I parked right in front of the office, like steps to her just walking inside. But we went back and forth and back and forth. I'm like, Sully, I don't have shoes on. I can't just walk you in to the school without shoes on. And she just would not stop. And I was late. And so I was like, fine. Okay. I said, do you want people to see your mom walking in there without shoes? She was like, I don't care. Sounds like your problem. And so I just gave up, and I said, okay, I parked the car. I was still in kind of the street area of the parking lot, like not an actual parking space. And I walk her into the office, and of course, I feel like everybody is there, and people are like, oh, hi, Dr. Shaw. And then they look down at me. I don't have shoes on. And then they start to look at each other like, why is she walking in here with no shoes on? And instead of explaining myself, because what can you say? Yeah. I just pretended like I had shoes on, and I just said hello to everybody and told them I needed to get, her aide to come get her, to pick her up. And I just did the walk of shame, back to my car, no shoes on, everybody looking at each other like, what's wrong with her? And that was my fun, mortifying mom moment.
Oh my gosh.
That
Oh my
sounds perfectly
gosh.
understandable to me. I feel like that
Yeah.
could happen to any of us at any time because we have to be
Yeah.
so flexible and like on the
Right.
fly and, you know.
You
Yeah.
could have been in your pajamas.
I could have. Well, I mean, I wasn't in pajamas, but I also didn't look that great. I literally just threw some clothes on, so didn't look great and didn't have shoes on. Embarrassing, but hey,
Oh my
got to
gosh.
do what you got to do. I got to my appointment on time.
Oh, phew.
Man,
You got another one, Susanna?
there are so many. I mean, I could talk for hours and hours and hours on the things that come out of Arizona's mouth
Oh, yeah.
at the most inopportune times at, you know, the highest voice volume possible.
Like what?
Oh, like she used to be obsessed with pregnancy and pregnant women, and she was younger and she didn't really understand how everything worked. And and so, so if she saw sort of like, you know, a bigger bodied woman, she'd be like, oh, she's pregnant, right? And so I had to
yeah.
explain, well, you know, it's really just right here in the frontal region. And we never ask a woman if she's having a baby or if she's pregnant, right?
Right.
We never do. Let them tell us, you know? I mean, it's cute, I guess, if you're like 2 years old or 3 years old and it's like, you know, super obvious, like the woman is, just has this big belly and has a t-shirt that says like baby on board or something, you know, but otherwise zip it. Right. And so so we were in the elevator and I can always tell when her mind is churning. Right. And so we were in the elevator, right? So we're in the elevator with this woman who was bigger bodied, but, you know, otherwise just a regular woman, normal woman going up the elevator, but she had a very, 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 very ample bosom, like just took up a lot of space, right? And so Arizona was just like looking and sort of poking her eye and looking, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, Arizona, so what floor are we on now? Okay, we're gonna, right? I was trying to intervene, and then all of a sudden Arizona looks at the lady and she said, so do you have 2 babies in there?
Oh my goodness.
Right? Because so literal, right? She was so literal. Here's one, and then here's the other one. You're carrying 2 babies in there, you know, and she could not have been more innocent in her asking, of course. And thankfully, the woman was having a good day and she was, you know, not defensive and she was very gracious in her response. And, you know, I was like, you know, what I said so often back then was like, excuse my child, she has some special needs, you know, and then everyone totally gets it. Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries. But I was just like, like Arizona, like your mouth cannot always be a volcano. But, you know, again, she's just like, but what's wrong with that? I'm having an observation and then I am going to ask a question based on that observation because I'm so curious.
Yeah.
Is that how it works when you have twins? You have 2 bumps in the front.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Ryan has done that with women who are bigger. And I feel so terrible. So terrible. And I've tried to teach and reteach. And it's those moments are
it's the literal, it's the no filter. It is somehow Arizona's way to try to connect as well. So all of the, you know, it makes perfect sense.
Right.
And no social understanding of what's okay and what isn't okay.
Right.
Sully did that to me, not about pregnancy. It was worse. So she ended up becoming my business partner, but I was partnering with someone in private practice, or we were considering doing it. And she was an older woman. She was probably in her mid to late 70s. She wasn't in the best health, but we were friends and she was kind of starting out and I needed a partner at that time. And I had been having conversations about signing leases with her and doing businesses with her because she was older. And I was kind of concerned about whether that was a really good choice for me. And so Sully had been apparently listening to my conversations. And so she came over one day and we were sitting at the dining room table and we were going over like business stuff. And Sully is very difficult to understand. But she said this is crystal clear as she's ever said anything. She said, my mom says you're going to die soon.
Oh, no.
And I was so like, how do you even recover from that? I was like, Sully, No, but I probably had said something like that. And it
Oh
was
my
the
God.
most embarrassing moment. And she, you know what? She was so gracious. And she's like, you know what? I'm older and I will die sooner, than most people. It's like, I am so sorry. We actually went on to continue to have a relationship after that. But yeah, Sully said that clear as day.
Oh,
Thanks to speech.
goodness.
Speech
Oh my
therapy.
gosh.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you,
The
speech
no
therapist.
filter. The no filter. Yeah. Yeah. This is why I haven't had like the biological, just basic sex talk with Ryan, because I don't know what he will repeat or ask.
Yeah.
He already
Right.
is fascinated by women who have babies, and he'll say, did you have to have surgery to have the baby? Like he knows too much about,
Yeah.
I guess. And
Yeah.
so why would I want to feed him with information that he could say out loud when it could be so inappropriate? Oh,
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's embarrassing to admit. My son is 21 and I haven't explained exactly how it works. I've danced around it, of course. And yeah, that's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I don't know what he will say to other people.
Right. That's right. No, listen, trust your mommy gut here. You've got to. You've got to, man.
I have one more question before we finish, but are there phrases that you hear yourself say again and again and again? For example, is the kitchen locked? Can you lock the kitchen? Are you done in the kitchen? Whatever. Where is Ryan right now?
That's a big one. Where are they? Yeah. Those are big ones for me because both of our children have Prader-Willi syndrome. I know for me,
Right.
I also ask, will there be food there? Depending on wherever, we're going, because that's of course first in my mind. Another thing that I found more recently asking myself is, how am I going to take care of her in my old age? Because, as my older children are flying the nest and they're out taking care of themselves, and I imagine that when I'm old, they will take care of me. The thought that continues to kind of run in the back of my head as Sully's hit 18 and she's moving into her adulthood is, how am I going to take care of her in my old age? Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Where we are right there with you.
Absolutely. Yep. Susanna, is there anything that you hear yourself say again and again? I could answer one thing. Good to know. Good
Yeah.
to know. When Arizona is saying this or that, good to know.
Yeah, Arizona, definitely. I am for sure her safe space for certain, because I can sometimes just be a punching bag all day because she's sort of processing through a worry or an issue or doesn't want to do something. And I'm there every minute, sort of guiding her through whatever it is that is her responsibility. And so she will often say things that shouldn't be hurtful because I know who she is, but sometimes they can be really hurtful. And, she'll say things all the time about, she likes to, I'm going to cut your head off and dribble it like a basketball, or I'm going, one of my favorites is and it's never the same, by the way. It's always something so unique and creative that often I also have to try not to laugh, but one time she was so frustrated. She was like, Mommy, my left foot wants to give your face a high five,
Oh my goodness.
And it's because she was upset. It's because she was processing a worry. And I'm always like, good to know. Mommy, you have half a brain cell. Good to know. Yeah, good to know. Oh, guess I can't make you dinner because, I only have half a brain cell, right? But yeah, it's hard. She's had some real zingers. That's what one of my girlfriends was saying to me. She's like, Arizona and her zingers. I'm like, oh, yeah. But she said one thing to me that was really, 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 really so hurtful that I actually cried. And we were in the car and she, I have this amazing partner in my life, my boyfriend, and she's, she just always wants me to herself. And she was saying something like, you're not allowed to be partnered because you were already partnered and that was with my dad. And that's all that matters is because I was born from that. And, she was just going on and on and on
Wow.
and on and on. Right. And, she doesn't know all of the details of our divorce. And,
Right.
I try to be as neutral as possible, in my conscious co-parenting situation. And so she just lashed out and she was like, you had one chance to have a partner, Mama, and you blew it.
Oh, wow.
And that was an ouchie.
Ouch.
That was an ouch.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, because, again, doesn't know the details and, it's not important. But it was like, wow, you think so little of me. Like, who am I to you? I went into that place where I normally don't like to go, which is, you ungrateful little, I do everything for you. I cook for you. I drive you to school. I do, right? And so, yeah. But anyhow, I guess what was mortifying there is that I did go into that, you ungrateful little one. You have no idea what I have sacrificed for you. Seriously.
Right.
You have no idea. But, mostly it is good to know. Good to know. Good to know.
Well, I've definitely lashed out at Ryan. And, I didn't even mention him in the stories, but there are times that his anxiety has activated my anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than being calm and having empathy and compassion, I just went with my emotions and impulsive words that it's so embarrassing. It's like, I'm the grown-up. I've had lots of PWS behavior training, a lot of it. And I just, sometimes you just lose your shit on your kids. And it's just so like, afterward, I just beat myself up like crazy. Like, okay, by now I should not be lashing out. I should not be activated like this and acting like this. Activated, yes, but don't act like, it's just so,
And yet, we are human and we still have to parent with our humanity. And,
Good point.
I know the whole, you be the adult, your kid's the kid. That's important. And we need to hold on to that and all the, as much as we possibly can. But sometimes it is really hard to not take things personally. And I try to remind myself that all of my children, because all of them have said things that are hurtful to me, that it's their immaturity, it's their ignorance, because, Arizona knows nothing about relationships, nothing. She just sees on the Disney movie where, the girl gets married to her prince and it's forever after. And, that's how it's supposed to be. But she has zero understanding of any of that. And yet she also is dealing with her own grief over her parents not being together and the relationship breakdown. And it's hard to hold on to that when our children are throwing darts at us.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it is.
Right. So if anyone listening has had their children throw darts at them, literally or figuratively,
Yes.
we love you. We see you. We get it. We get it.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.
You are definitely not alone if you have had any absurd, mortifying, horrible, embarrassing moments.
Yes.
Because of either something your kid did or something that you did. You are not alone. Thanks so much for listening today. Do us a favor and leave us a review and a rating so that this podcast can get into the ears and the hearts of more and more moms. Did you know that Brave Together Parenting Podcast is an extension of our nonprofit organization, We Are Brave Together? We Are Brave Together serves an international community of caregiving moms, offering support groups that are virtual and in-person, educational resources, and low-cost weekend retreats. And we have published our first anthology of caregiving stories entitled Becoming Brave Together, Heroic, Extraordinary Caregiving Stories from Mothers Hidden in Plain Sight. It will encourage and validate every parent caregiver. To join us today, go to wearebravetogether.org. Our support and sisterhood awaits you. Brave Together Parenting Podcast is for entertainment and education purposes only. It's not a substitute for professional care and should not be relied on for medical or mental health advice. The use of any content on our podcast, links, show notes, or on our website is to be done at your own personal risk. Please seek out a professional to assess your own medical or mental health concerns because we are all beautifully complex and the content of this podcast is for a broad audience.